in the way that we handle and process goods. We've been running a system essentially for the last 20 years that we need to change to reflect the greater complexity and volume of merchandise that's going to come through our third-party logistics processor, NLS. And that's going to maybe cause a little bit of short-term pain, but I think for everybody, long-term gain. Currently, we from time to time get confirmed POs from vendors, and I know that many of you guys don't get a confirmed PO from us until quite late in the process. Then the second step that you have to go through is packing slip approval, which can take days, and then after that there is calling NLS and making your appointment when you perhaps had all your goods on your loading dock since you submitted your packing slip. This process is going to, by virtue of EDI, for full EDI, eliminate a lot of that process. And for those of you who don't have full EDI, which we understand most of you don't, there is an opportunity to have virtual EDI, which will allow you to experience and us to experience the transmission of the information in the same fashion. So this should clear a lot of the frustration that people have at the entry points of our spring and fall seasons where goods are being delivered to us in a considerable mass and make things flow much easier. To this end, we engaged Spice Technologies, and in the room with us today we have Keith Bucher from Spice Technologies and the proprietor Neil Sharma, who are going to help us go through this. And we are really delighted that so many of you took the opportunity and time to come through this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions if we don't get to, and we won't get to many or most of them today, but through the GoToMeeting, make sure you are putting your questions up there, and I promise you that we will answer each and every one of them in the coming days to make sure that everybody does understand it. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith Bucher from Spice Technologies.
Thank you, Dave. My name is Keith Bucher. I am from Spice Technology. I will be your facilitator for the call today. In the room with us, we actually have from Sporting Life, in addition to David Russell, we have Howard Israelson, Anita Brower, Tim Pine, Jerry Rinda, and Denise Coleman is also here in the room with us today. And of course, myself and Neil from Spice Technology. Up on your screen, you'll see the agenda for the meeting. We're going to review why EDI, why did we go there, in addition to what David just told us. Some top key changes. We'll review the project scope, the transaction details, the rollout plans. We'll see some tools available for suppliers, review costs associated, rollout procedures, timelines, and next steps. EDI project FAQs, as well as we'll review some key contacts and Q&A at the end of the session. So why EDI? Many of you will already know why EDI, and David certainly gave a good explanation of why Sporting Life is moving there. But as we know, electronic data interchange is an important tool in automating retail supply chain interaction between trading partners. Automating the B2B communication helps organizations jointly bring the right product to the right place at the right time at the right cost to the consumer. Receiving and confirming advance ship notices prior to delivery will automate the receiving process and save enormous amounts of time and frustration for all parties involved. This results in improved product assortment and better in-stock levels, which enhances the customer's experience in the Sporting Life stores. All members of the Sporting Life trading community will benefit from these improvements. So we're going to take a look at some key changes that will be up and coming.
We're going to be implementing the EDI system, as you can read on the slide, for all vendors for this fall 2015. Pretty aggressive, but we need all of you to either use the web-based system immediately while we look at completing the traditional X12 EDI setup. I had a number of comments from people saying that they're very excited that we're going EDI, but there are other implementations that are in process. We understand that. So what we have here is a virtual port that you can also use. and make sure that we are receiving your information in a fashion that we can quickly turn around the response to you.
Additional changes as well would be the use of an 832 catalog exchanged via EDI, or there are upload functions available, which you'll hear further in the presentation about.
For some of our smaller vendors, I would just say that you're going to hear some number. If you're haven't got any experience with EDI or virtual EDI, you are going to hear some numbers that mean certain forms. For a lot of you, this is old hat. So the catalog data exchange is a form number 832, and you'll follow this, follow this protocol as we go through it.
We'll do our best not to throw too many numbers, but yeah, there's definitely transaction numbers involved, which we will definitely discuss further in the presentation. The other big change that will happen is sending existing purchase orders via an 860 and expecting a confirmation 855P acknowledgement back. So this is where if there's orders that are in the pipe coming in, shipping in for fall, we'll work with you about how we're going to get that order to you in order for you to be compliant with the ASN inbound for your fall shipment. Shipping orders packed by store to the distribution center. So POs will change in the sense that you'll receive store distribution on your purchase orders. Some bulk will still be in play, but there's going to be majority of it is going to be packed by store. And with that, shipping with an advanced ship notice and an MH10 label on all cases into when you have your shipments going into the DC this fall. Those are the top 5 key changes that we wanted to bring to your attention. Pardon me. Up on the screen is the project scope, and here is the list of the purchase or the transactions that we'll be exchanging. The 832 item catalog is a transaction that will be sent by the supplier. The 850 purchase order will be sent by Sporting Life, as well as the 860 purchase order change. The PO 855, the purchase order acknowledgement, the 855 is sent by the supplier, as well as the ASN, the 856 is also sent by the supplier when they ship their product. A few key points that we thought we could talk about on each of those transactions that we wanted to bring forward to your attention. The 832, the primary goal of the 832 is to capture the GTIN or the UPC or EAN, depending on where you're at, and any other item parameters that are required in order to set up an item in Sporting Life systems. Prices are not included in that file. The 850 purchase order, majority of the purchase orders will be marked by store. You'll receive an SDQ segment within your purchase order. Some bulk, like I mentioned, will happen still to the distribution center, but it will be small in comparison. When you receive a purchase order, of course, you should always ensure that the PO is accurate. Any discounts, allowances in the SACs, those all should be validated and ensure that they're accurate. If they're not, any PO errors you should address with the originator of the PO at time of receipt. Any change to the purchase order, so if Sporting Life makes a change on their PO, you'll receive that information via an 860. Any concerns with that 860 when you receive it, again, go back to the originator of the purchase order and have that conversation at the time of receipt. An 855 purchase order acknowledgement is required for all 850s and 860 transactions. An 855 is expected to be confirmed within 24 hours of receipt of the PO or change. Pardon me. Any changes to the PO from your perspective will be communicated via the 855. Additional 855s when a PO status changes. So if you get it again 860 cents, you'll need to 855 back a confirmation. And the 855 is requested prior to ASNs, including quantities and schedule for split shipments. The ASN, the 856 ASN, when shipping packed by store, you'll be expected to label each case and transmit in your ASNs the breakdown by store, by SKU. And the 810 is the 810 invoice transaction is there as a future requirement. So phase 2 implementation, you'll see the 810 be part of that rollout. Up on your screen now, you'll see the rollout plan. It's really kind of a three-step process. In step A, certainly would be the EDI communication that you received from Sporting Life in regards to completing the survey, registering on the SPICE portal and completing the survey, which many of you did, which was very greatly appreciated. Gave us a bit of a view of where the community was at in regards to the EDI setup, as well the direct vendor communication that we had regarding this particular webcast. Looking at step 2, or B, pardon me, is where you, the supplier, would begin to do EDI document certification, setting up your communication to ensure that you are set up to communicate with Sporting Life. There will be some parallel testing that will be completed. If you're a web portal supplier accessing the web to do your EDI, note that the testing will not be part of your requirement. It's already been tested fully end to end, and it's functional on day 1 that you have access to it. And then, step C, or the third step, would be that you would move into a live production environment, and support would be provided to you both from a Sporting Life as well as a SPICE technology side to ensure that everything is operating as expected. So I'm just going to pass it over to Neil Sharma, who will walk us through the next few screens, and I will be back with you shortly.
Thank you, Pete. I'm going to speak to some of the tools that are available for traditional EDI suppliers first. This both Keith and David have talked about in the past. We've got a fairly large member community at Sporting Life that will be coming in to do EDI. So let's first speak to what we would deem as traditional EDI suppliers, defined as any organization that is using the X12 ANSI X12 standard and will be exchanging their information with Sporting Life, using traditional WAN protocols or AS2 or some other means, but it still is traditional EDI data. For these vendors, they have a process to go through for certification of their data. They will, once you've signed up with SPICE Technology Group for compliance testing, you will be given access to a self-service EDI certification tool. And there's a screenshot that you can see there, right there on the screen. You'll see the documents and their schemas that are available for testing. Most traditional EDI vendors are very familiar with this process and know how to go through this setup. You will be testing not only syntactical data, but you will also be testing business rules and scenarios for sports that are specific to Sporting Life, and all of that can be done in this particular environment. Once you're tested and certified, Sporting Life will be ready to go live with you, and thereafter, what we will essentially go, once we go live, you also have access to the EDI tracking tool. And this is, again, a portal-based environment for all traditional EDI suppliers to be able to track and trace not only the status of their files, but also its disposition, as I call it, i.e., has Sporting Life received it, have they actioned it? So there's a lot of granularity and details that's available even to EDI vendors in this online tool. And that's essentially it for traditional EDI suppliers. I guess the other germane point is you have 3 connectivity options as a traditional EDI supplier. One is the very traditional WAN, or the value-added network, and there are some costs associated with it, which I will cover later on. You can also utilize AS2, which is a very popular means for exchanging information. One of it is that it's basically cost-free on a long-term basis. And then the standard connectivity option, which is completely free, is FTP, SSL, or secure FTP. And so those are the means of data available for traditional EDI suppliers. I will now move on to the non-EDI suppliers, who could be non-EDI for a variety of different reasons. They could be, and I'll make the point because it's germane, very germane to this webcast. You could be a traditional EDI supplier that is just simply not ready for EDI right now, and for a variety of different reasons. In which case, we would essentially view you as a non-EDI supplier. And for that, we have a web-based portal that is available, but it's fully configured, and it's actually purpose-made for for Sporting Life and their logistics environment. And once you sign up with Spice to access this tool, it's available to you within 24 to 48 hours, and you're live with Sporting Life for all their requirements, including the catalog, purchase order, PO change, PO acknowledgement, as well as the ASN, the Advanced Ship Notice, which goes hand in hand with the online MH10 label that must be created in order for shipments to be sent to the DC. Again, it's purpose-built. It's available for immediate compliance to Sporting Life's requirements. There is another tool. I've already covered it, but just because the slide is here, this is a tool called NPLS, New Product Listing System, and this is essentially a tool set that allows you to upload the non-EDI web-based vendors can upload their UPC information or the EAN, the European article number, or their GTIN. Essentially, it's all within the family of GTINs or global trade identification numbers. Your catalog can be uploaded to this system and made available to Sporting Life without any development activity taking place on your end. The comment I'd like to make over here that there are a number of traditional EDI vendors that list their catalog on third-party data hosting facilities. That is absolutely fine. That is no problem. However, it is your responsibility to make that data available to Sporting Life. Sporting Life will not be going to multiple websites to pull data down. So you have to pull your data and upload it, either bring it to us as an 832 transaction set in an automated, unattended fashion, or upload it, or you take the responsibility to upload it through the portal and make it available to Spice and therefore Sporting Life in the format that they need for their inventory management process to work. I'm going to touch upon some costs. There are some costs associated with EDI. Let's first talk about the traditional EDI vendors. There is a one-time cost of $650, and this is to test all 5 documents, the 832, 850, 855, 856, and 860. Again, a very standard process to go ahead through self-service testing, as I've already described before. Once you sign up with Spice, sign the agreement, pay the fees, licenses to the testing environment will be issued to you. And then a number of vendors on this call are already users of Spice, and so they have used this environment before, but you'll find it to be very similar to other testing environments as well. The Spice Web EDI portal has fees associated with it as well, and there's really 2 components to it. Spice Connect Web EDI for the inventory management components, and there is also the NPLS catalog that I talked about. There are 2 different systems here, and the combined fee, there is a one-time fee of $400, which is $200 and $200 for each system, and then $50 per month for each of those applications for a total of $100 per month. So any web vendor can essentially be compliant with Sporting Life for a one-time fee of $400 and $100 per month going forward. And there's no restrictions. You can use the system for as long as you wish to use it, and you can stop at any point in time. We'll also make a point here, since we've heard from vendors in the past that you might be getting purchase orders very seasonal. You might get a PO once a year or twice a year and need to action it with an ASN. We do have a pay-as-you-go fee structure as well, which our team can discuss with any vendor that might think that is useful for them. Lastly, there are special channels. We do have a number of suppliers in our network today. As we implement that come in with special needs, they want to transact using XML, flat files, or a direct connection using web services. So we will support all of these APIs, and we treat them as a statement of work. So if there is, if you require direct connection to your backend SAP system, you will talk to our team, and that can certainly be taken care of for you. And I will hand it back to Keith at this point.
Great, thank you, Neil. So up on the screen, you'll see some rollout procedures and timelines. The first step in the process would be to become registered on the Spice portal. Many of you already have. If you have done the survey, then you are all already registered on the actual portal itself. For For regular EDI suppliers, there's sort of an 8-step process that you'll see being called out as far as being able to get right from signing up and getting access to the portal to commencing your development on your side to be ready to do the testing, ensure that your 832 and or upload function through the portal to do data synchronization is complete. You'll complete your testing and become certified, establish a test connectivity with SPICE to ensure that your production environment is set up, and then do an integrated test of your transactions, and then be live in production, initially with paper and EDI, but very short-lived with the paper copy. Web portal suppliers. So if you've completed the survey, you already are set up on the system in one sense because you are registered there. As David talked to in the beginning of the session, so Sporting Life wants all suppliers on and ready to ship in for their fall shipments this fall. In order to do so, if you're not able to set up EDI in a short, timely way, then Web EDI is an option for you to look at in the interim. Again, so I talk about the 832. It is a very important transaction. It is one of the first transactions for you to be able to send through, whether it be, again, an 832 or through the upload function. And July 20th is the timeline that we're targeting to go live with all suppliers. Any shipments after that into the distribution center must come equipped with an advance ship notice. So we have a few FAQs that we thought we would go through. I'm sure that there's more there that's coming through on the actual chat function, though these are some that we thought we would bring to your attention for now. So one of the questions would be, do I have to use SPICE Web EDI? So all suppliers must test and validate with SPICE. Those who are not EDI capable can become compliant using a simplified Web EDI portal service. Suppliers who cannot implement EDI by the requested timeline will also need to use the portal until they are ready. Is EDI compliance mandatory? EDI compliance is mandatory going forward at Sporting Life. Will your vendor agreements be modified? How will business operations be impacted by EDI, both SPL and vendor? Your vendor agreement will not change, though an EDI trading partner agreement needs to be signed to ensure both agree to exchange documents electronically. When do I need to be compliant? We will go live on effective July 20th. If you're unable to be ready due to technical issues, you must use the SPICE web portal service, or virtual EDI as it's referenced, for immediate readiness. If I am traditional EDI, can I connect with Sporting Life directly? No, you cannot connect to Sporting Life directly as they have integrated with SPICE Technology Group, who translates their EDI. You must connect through SPICE in order to communicate with Sporting Life. I use a third-party EDI provider. Can I continue to use this provider for EDI with Sporting Life? Yes, you will be categorized, though, as a regular EDI supplier, and your third party will have to go through EDI testing and certification. It's your responsibility to work with your third party to get set up properly, and that the requirements are met in a timely manner. Neither Sporting Life nor SPICE will be responsible to follow up with your third party. When will I get all the documentation required for the rollout? The EDI mapping specifications are available today from SPICE. Once you're registered, an EDI package will be emailed out to you. So, and that is a list of some FAQs that we thought that we could share with you. Up on the screen now is the list of key contacts for you. So at Sporting Life, Tim Pine will be your main contact on the Sporting Life side. In regards to EDI, any questions, certainly between Tim and Sporting Life, it's Tim and SPICE, we'll be able to answer those questions.
I'll just, it's Dave Russell again. I'll just say something about Tim. Tim, we've hired to be our Director of Logistics. I think that over the years, if there's one consistent thing that we have heard from all our vendors, it is that shipping to Sporting Life is to NLS is very difficult. It's very slow. It takes a long time to get an appointment. It takes a long time to get packing slip approval. It takes a long time for your goods to get through the floor. We know that the thing that's going to challenge us as we go forward is, I think we have some, you've seen our 2 new stores. We've got some pretty nice looking stores. The design's pretty good. I think we've got some good teams. But the success or failure of our business going forward is going to be the logistics, and we have to get that piece right. It occurs to us, it's not lost on us that this is we're asking a lot of our vendors here, but there's a lot to be gained by getting this done and making sure that this fall rollout is maybe not perfect, but pretty darn good and a lot better than it has been in the past. And certainly before 2016, where we open a store out of province, as well as another one in the city, we need to get much better and give you better service. And lastly, the discrepancies that I hear about from a large group of you all the time about, the packing slip says this, the invoice says that, the price is not the same. All these problems are going to be sorted out in advance, and we will implement the second phase, which is the invoicing, as soon as possible, in order that, number one, you get paid correctly. There's no holdbacks, there's no debit memos. We're going to simplify all that and make sure that you get paid on time and according to terms. We certainly understand that this is a short and aggressive timeline, but we do appreciate your support in helping us get there, and it's a key time for us, and I'm just going to turn it back to Keith. Thank you, Dave.
Very good. So if you have any questions, I'll just continue to move along here. If you have any questions, you can enter those into the chat box there on the GoToMeeting. And we will go through those and answer any of them that we can. But please do go ahead and any questions that you might have to the team here in the room, you can enter through using the chat function. So we're going to just actually retrieve a few of those, and we'll start the discussion around them. So just to make sure that everyone has the ability that they see the chat option at the bottom of the GoToWebinar screen. So it's a little box that's appearing likely on the right-hand side of your screen. If you expand that, you'll be able to see that there's a chat option, and that's where you will go ahead and enter your questions, and we'll answer as many of them that we can.
So we're just reviewing some questions. We've had some good questions come in, so we'll just give us some time to review it, and we will pick some of these to respond.
Sure.
Yeah.
Didn't have receive the registration package.
No, it's not. Come on to this one.
So one question I can deal with, a copy of the slideshow. Yes, we are going to have a copy of the webinar for anybody that needs it.
Okay, so I can read off the
Sure.
questions. So we've got a number of questions that have come up. I will read the questions out. This is Neil Sharma, and Okay, I will attempt to answer a few questions myself where I think it's more appropriate for Sporting Life to answer. I'll redirect either Dave or other people within the group. So let me just get to the first one. What is the actual timeline for uploading data to the Sporting Life portal? Immediately, does that mean today, next week? Can you please be specific? So our go live date, Keith, is July 20th. And essentially, that is the first day that you will have access available to the system. And from there on, you have everything available in order to get going. So that is essentially the compliance date. There's a question in here, can we connect via SPS? I presume SPS Commerce is who Juliana is referring to, as we've implemented XML files and not X12. That's absolutely fine. The answer, you can connect with SPS Commerce or any third-party provider. We've also answered that question. You will be deemed as an EDI vendor and you'll have to go through certification. But yes, there's no problems as long as you can meet the timelines. So we would urge you to keep the July 20th timelines in mind. Another question is, are invoices included? Again, we've covered that. Invoices are part of phase 2, so they're not part of the current phase for EDI. So EDI 810 invoices are in phase 2, and timelines have not been determined for that yet. What are the requirements for the catalog? There are, I think this is a more detailed question. Certainly our rollout team from SPICE can cover that with you. This question is from Icebreaker Marino. And so there are some data requirements, and we can cover that with you in detail once you get the rollout documents from us. I think Juliana has asked, will the POs be shipped by store also? The answer is no, they're only marked for store. So all shipments are going to DC, and then the DC will be distributing to the store. So there is no direct to store, if that's the question. Will you be sending back a function acknowledgement 997? Yes, so every traditional EDI vendor will be implementing a 997. So that is part of a standard EDI implementation. I think Icebreaker had another question. What is the format? Where do we find the upload file? For SPICE, again, we will provide this after this webcast. Within the next day or two, you will receive all the information. Everybody on this webcast will receive the information related to the implementation. Can you please send out these fees to your partners so we're aware of all the costs to us? I think yes. In fact, the entire webcast is available to any vendor that requests it. We will also, when the rollout team gets in touch with each of the vendor, you will have all the costs and all the details with the implementation associated with it. What about shipments before July 20th? If I may redirect that one to Tim. Would you like to speak to that, Tim?
Sure. Any shipments prior to July 20th will still use the standard format. So you'll still be required to send your packing slips, and we'll check the packing slips against the PO and give you an authorization number. After July 20th, you will not need to send the packing slips. The EDI transaction will replace the packing slip process, and you'll still need to call NLS to get the appointment number.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, one of the questions is what training documents are available for the web portal. So once you go live, you will have full documentation of how to use the web portal. I mean, there's really three ways. There's written documentation. There are online videos that will show you how the portal is utilized. Plus, you can always reach out. To us through our support center, and they will give you, any assistance that is required with the training. So you've got three ways to get trained on it. Sorry, we're just, there's more questions coming in, so we're just going through them real quick to see if we can read and respond to them. There's a question about, can we get a copy of this slideshow? The answer is yes. We can send you the PowerPoint presentation. Our rollout team will do that. We can also send you a recording of the webcast if you request that. So both are available. There's another question associated with the web forms or the web portal, which is Spice Connect. Does everything need to be manually entered, or is there a way to upload the information? So a web portal is designed so that you can download a purchase order and enter it into your back-end system. There can be integration done on a statement of work basis for integrating your advanced ship notice. That's a more difficult implementation because all ASNs are different. So it is possible, but there is no standard function to upload an ASN at the present time.
Sure, I guess.
There's a question from the JTEX group. We have shipping windows of July 1st to 30th. Can we get it out before EDI integration? Turn that to Tim or David.
Yep, that's fine. As long as you can ship before July 20th, that's fine.
So the important date there from JTEX group to please note that it's July 20th is the deadline. So not July 30th. So if it's July 1st to the 20th, you're okay, but not after that.
The question is, are there penalties for non-compliant suppliers? Will these orders be refused? Our goal here is to work with everybody and to get everybody onto this program. We are not interested in fining or penalizing people, but it will be difficult for us to get these orders through. The web portal, it's a bit of a hurdle, but it's a fairly low bar in order that the information flows through properly and you can deal with it. Everybody, if you don't have my phone number, you've got my email address now, all of you. You talk to us. But our wish is that we aren't refusing anything and we aren't fining anybody on this.
So there is a question. This is an interesting question. I'm going to kind of perhaps expand on this. The question is from I can't tell whether it's a Mr. or Ms. Nguyen, D.N. Nguyen. The 855 process seems very manual. It may cause delays for ASN and shipments. Is this a potential issue? So let's stop and just kind of expand on that a bit. The 855, first of all, is a mandatory document. You must be able to do line item level acknowledgement on every purchase order that you get. And no, it should not be a potential issue because, if you're going up on the web, it is very straightforward to go ahead and acknowledge all of those documents, price, quantity, whatever the requirements are that you need to acknowledge. If you're unable to do it through traditional EDI, and that we recognize can be a problem for some vendors who are not set up with their back-end systems to do 855, you must be able to then sign on to the web application and respond with an 855. I mean, think about what happens in the world. You are acknowledging POs today. The buyers are calling you and asking you what's going on with my shipment. You have to acknowledge it. You do it through emails. That's not going to work in this present environment. So if we all want to have shipments that make sense when they show up at the DC, and the invoices matching that have to be correct, and the 855 document is absolutely mandatory, and so you do have to follow that. And that also goes for the 860, which is the purchase order change document. So the entire PO conversation cycle, as we call it, from purchase order to purchase order change, acknowledgement, right up to the ASN is one single conversation, and it needs to be an electronic conversation from start to finish. So hopefully that explains it and gives some guidance on that. And I'm speaking on behalf of Sporting Life, so if you'd like to add anything, David, or...
No, I would just say that it's a moment of change for us. Many of you are already dealing with retailers that require this, and this is not maybe aside from being an ambitious time schedule, not anything that's that difficult. It's a time of transformation for Sporting Life and a transformation for us to grow and to hopefully do a lot more business with you. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for being on the call today. And we are here to answer your questions. Any more questions that come in, we will answer, hopefully each and every one of you, to make sure that everybody sees how we are dealing with this in a fair and open, transparent way. So I think thanks to all of you, thanks to Neil, thanks to Keith, and thanks to the Sporting Life team for this. And let's all hope that we have a fantastic winter season ahead of us. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.